This is Emily,
Henley,
and Sammy, and you're listening to Too Scary Didn't Watch.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Too Scary Didn't Watch, the horror movie recap podcast for those too scared to watch for themselves. I'm Emily, and I am too scared to watch scary movies.
I'm Henley, and I'm also too scared to watch scary movies.
I'm Sammy, and I love watching scary movies, and so I watch them, and I tell you about them, and boy, oh boy, am I excited about this week's movie. Whew. But before we get into it, did anything scary happen to us this week?
Just real quick, I got to tell you guys, so I'm visiting my parents in Maryland right now, and my grandmother passed away recently. She was 97 years old, so my mom has inherited all of her stuff. So this house is filled with items right now.
Yep.
And I guess the scary thing is how much of it is Ronald Reagan paraphernalia.
That is scary.
What? How much? What do you like? Give me a percentage.
No, I mean, it's not that bad, but it's all
I mean,
gone.
if it's an alarming quantity if it's drawing your attention, it's enough.
It's so crazy, you guys. I'm like, we just got to throw it out. Like, let's throw it out. This is easily tossable. We don't need to keep it. But my mom's just moved it to the second floor. That's like, she's like, we'll deal with it later. That's where we're staying. Right. Of course. So when you walk upstairs in the hallway, there's like a chest that's just like covered with Ronald Reagan stuff, including a letter that he wrote to my grandmother's second husband, congratulating him on his retirement and telling him what a fantastic job he did as a lobbyist. And I want to tell you, I'm not comfortable with this. Can you believe it?
This is terrifying.
I know. I'm feeling, I have a lot of questions. This was in like 1985 also. So I am surrounded.
Do you know what he lobbied for?
I'm pretty sure it was like,
yeah, whisper it.
Gas, like oil and gas.
I know.
I'm pretty sure it was like
whispering. Yeah,
like it's still ending up on the pod, hen, even if you whisper it.
But I'm like
Whoa.
stressed. I haven't even. So here's the thing. My mom listens to this podcast. I haven't brought it up with her yet. After we record, obviously, this is a conversation we're going to need to have because the cat's out of the bag.
She can't find out here.
Cat's out of the bag. I've noticed. I've clocked the Ronald Reagan stuff. And I just want everyone here to know I'm not comfortable with it. And I have questions. So that's the scary thing that has happened to me in the past few days.
I'm going to need some pictures of what all this is.
I'll send you guys the
to
letter.
see the
I'll send you
collection.
guys the personal letter that he wrote to my grandmother's second husband.
Wow.
I think we got to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Mine
Dang.
is not related, but not unrelated.
Okay.
This week I had to take a civics test to become a U.S. citizen because I have been a permanent resident for a while. And so I had to go to the immigration offices and sit with an officer and answer questions about the history of the United States.
Wait, what the hell
I
is
was so stressed.
You did not tell us you had to do this. These are hard tests.
I kept it as a surprise for the pod.
I love when you do that. You do it better than anyone. You withhold important life details from your close friends for the right moment.
Anything for the pod.
Whoa. How hard was it? Did you have to study?
I had to study, yeah.
I would not do well on a test like that, like point blank.
So there's 100 questions they can ask you. You only have to answer 6 correctly. They usually ask 10. But if you answer the first 6 right, then it stops. And I did. I got them all right.
Oh, of course you did.
Will they keep asking until you get 6 right? Like, could they ask you
No,
all
they'll
100?
they'll only ask 10. But it could be any of the 100. So you have to study 100.
I see. Okay.
You'll get 10 random ones and you have to get 6 right to pass it.
Holy shit.
Which ones did you get right?
Some of them are easy, like who's the president now? That one I got asked. Joe Biden, in case anybody's wondering.
Thank you.
And then some of them are like, I don't think I actually got asked this one, but the one that seemed hardest to me was like, what part of land did the U.S. buy from France in like 1805? It's the Louisiana Purchase. I do vaguely remember that, but like, that's not something that's
top of mind.
Yeah, top of mind.
It's so weird to be like, you can't be a citizen unless you know that. You cannot live here unless you know that. That very relevant information to today's world.
Another one I got was what is an amendment change to the Constitution? It's that kind of stuff. So they're pretty simple, but they're things that like I did have to study for just in case. I'm not going into that without preparation.
Wow. Okay, so what part in the process are you in then? You got your 6 right, and then where do we go from here?
I go take an oath of allegiance to the United States. I have to, get this, swear to fight and die for America if needed. Isn't that so crazy?
Ronald Reagan would love that.
I never swore to that. Do you know what I mean? You're on the hook more than me if shit goes down.
Yeah, so that'll be on Wednesday that I do that.
Sammy! Can people go watch? Will you like become a citizen in that moment?
They can't because of COVID, which is a bummer because usually, yes.
Can they stand outside and cheer for you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can stand outside and cheer for me. But the letter they gave me says it is a somber event, so dress appropriately. I was like, what? What the fuck?
Well, you are proclaiming that you will die for this country if
I guess.
necessary.
Could be somber for sure.
Holy crap, Sammy. I didn't realize it was happening like this, because I knew there was time that had to pass between becoming a permanent resident, which happened just right before COVID.
5 years.
No, 5 years?
It's been 5 years, yeah.
It's been
Crazy.
5 years since that day?
No, it's been 5 years since I became a permanent resident. Oh, wait.
What?
I don't know. Let's not get into the details in case a USCIS officer is listening.
No, it's definitely been 5 years and we're certain. Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's exciting and
That
scary.
is exciting
a little scary.
and scary.
But I'll get to vote in these midterms, which I'm very excited about.
Great.
Wow.
We need it.
First time voting.
Wow, Sammy, that's cool. I'm very happy for you. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Mine is not terribly unrelated.
Okay,
I love
let's see what it is.
This past week, I rewatched and showed for the first time to Joel Miss Congeniality.
Yes.
Because it had been a really long time since I'd seen it. He had never seen it. I don't remember how it came up. It came up because we had watched Batman Begins, which I had never seen. And Michael Caine is obviously in the Christian Bale Batmans. Well, I know him best from Miss Congeniality.
Sure.
And so that came up in conversation, and Joel had never seen it. So I was like, oh my God, it's great. It's classic. We have to watch it. I've seen Miss Congeniality like so many times. I think for all of middle school, it was like every sleepover, we watched Miss Congeniality. At Melinda Shearer's house, we watched Miss Congeniality.
Hey, Melinda.
Hey, Melinda. And I loved it. And I rewatched it. And some of what I saw was a little scary.
Oh, no.
Especially because I was like, oh, Joel, you're going to love it. We have to watch it. And then it started and I was like, oh my God. Because, like, you guys have seen it, right?
Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, look, here's what I'll say. It's still fun. Sandra Bullock is so good in it. She's so fun. The parts of the women becoming friends and, like, learning that they can be in a beauty pageant and also have more depth to them, like, those messages are still good. Those are the things that I had remembered. There's another part of the movie, which is so deeply sexist and offensive. It was like any scene with the FBI officers is like the sexual harassment in that workplace. Holy shit. They're like, there's a scene, remember the scene? I could talk about this for this whole episode, I won't. But where they're trying to find the right agent to go undercover in the beauty pageant. They need to find a female FBI agent who's hot enough to go undercover. And so they have a computer software that takes their clothes off and puts them in bathing suits.
Oh my God.
All the dudes are sitting around watching it, like eating fucking popcorn, like, and then an ugly chick comes up and they're like, oh, nasty, put her in a bathing suit, gross.
Oh no.
They, at one point, her coworker, who ends up being her love interest, Benjamin Bratt, the actor.
Yeah.
Who I've made a latte for him once.
Really?
Wow.
What happened to him?
In a work conversation, he slaps her ass. It's like, it's crazy.
Wow.
And these were like, I was watching this over and over and over again at a like deeply foundational moment in my growth. I was like, oh, and so it also made me think like, this is probably true for a lot of things I loved at that time in my life. Yeah. And like, wow, I was not happy to be reminded.
Well, it's scary. It's scary, right? Because you're like, was I conditioned to just like accept that? Like
yes,
as an adult?
100%
like,
yes. I never flagged it once at that age. I thought he was a very good love interest. I thought it all made sense. I thought, of course, you have to find the hottest FBI agent to do. Of course, we have to take a very attractive Sandra Bullock who just doesn't brush her hair and like make her get full body waxed and like be like walk in a dress and be like, oh my God, fuck, she's been hot the whole time. Look at her butt. It's like, it's so crazy. I was horrified.
Yeah, patriarchy.
But the second half is fun, and I will say the joke about a perfect date being April 25th because it's not too hot, not too cold. All you need is a light jacket.
That joke comes back every April 25th. I see a post every single year.
William Shatner is great, and it's also the first thing I knew of William Shatner in, it's like, but wow, I'm just saying, sometimes when you go back and revisit it can be cruel. And it's a little scary.
But sometimes it's really great. And this week's movie, I think it's a very great one to revisit. This week's movie is Jaws. Came out in 1975. Directed by Steven Spielberg. Written by Peter Benchley and Carl Gottlieb. Based on a novel by Peter Benchley. Starring Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, Lorraine Gary, and Murray Hamilton. And our guest today is coming to us straight from Amity Island. And we are so freaking happy to have him. Paul F. Tompkins, welcome to the pod.
Hello. Amity, as you know, means friendship.
Oh.
And I could not be more pleased to be joining this friendship, which I discovered via podcast form. I'm a big fan of the show, and I first learned about it from Ronnie Adrian on the Man Dog podcast, who was plugging Jessica Jardin being on it while saying he has never been invited to be on it. Yes, it's classic Ronnie Adrian.
I'll just say
Absolutely.
this. Okay, Ronnie, a friend of mine plugging my podcast not because of me,
right?
Because my other friend was on it. And also, Ronnie's never expressed this to me one time that he wants to be on this podcast. I haven't heard a peep.
That's also classic Ronnie. He was waiting for this moment for someone to tell you that this happened.
Yeah, exactly.
A little game of telephone through the podcasts.
Yep.
This is the most efficient way.
I'm such a fan of the show. I really enjoy it, and I'm thrilled to be asked to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh my God, we're so
thrilled.
happy.
We're so happy. Wait, you have to tell us now. Did anything scary happen to you this week?
I had a mild scare. I got into Wordle this past week.
Okay.
We've been talking about Wordle.
What is it?
See, that's the thing. I would see these boxes and I'm like, whatever that is, I don't like it. I don't want to learn what it is.
It makes me feel like I'm losing my mind. It all of a sudden is everywhere. What is it?
It is a very simple word game. It's actually, I really enjoy it, but it was weird to me. And I referenced it on Twitter that it seemed like that episode of Star Trek TNG where there's like a game that everybody gets addicted to, but it's it's doing something to their brains because you just see these boxes and I'm like, what the? So finally, I asked somebody what it was, a friend of mine who was playing it, and then I started playing it. It's an extremely simple word game. It's 6 rows of 5 boxes, and what you're trying to do is guess a 5-letter word. And so you just keep putting 5-letter words in there until you get the right one. You get 6 chances to guess. And so it'll give you clues, which you can turn off, which I don't know why anybody would do that. That's demented. But if you put a letter in the right place, it will show up green when it's revealed. And if you put a letter, if there's a letter that's in the word that's in the wrong place, it'll show up yellow. So you can say, okay, I know there's an R and an A, so I'll put them in different positions, whatever. And it's really fun. And then you share it with your friends. I kind of think sharing it online is gross.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's doing it.
Everyone's doing it. And everyone is gross. And I think
my thing was just like, who decided, it was like some big conversation happened overnight that I didn't understand. Like, how does this happen? It makes me think, like, how does it happen? How does it happen?
Here's my take on it.
Do you know, Henley?
Here's my take on it, which I had shared to you guys over text, and I think I'm standing strong on it.
Sorry, is this an HHT?
This is a
Henley hot take?
This is absolutely a Henley hot take, just coined right now at HHT. I think that it seems really hard, but it's actually simple and easy. And so everyone's sharing it because they feel good about themselves, that they were able to accomplish it.
For sure.
But it's like actually not that hard. And so everyone's doing it because they're like, look how fucking smart I am. But like in reality, like the reason why you're seeing it everywhere is because everyone's the same level of smart when it comes to doing Wordle.
Exactly. And it's like, if you finish it in 2 guesses, that's really not that big an accomplishment. It just means you got done sooner, that's kind of cool. Is that now I'm fine.
Or you had like randomly a good first word.
Randomly.
Arbitrary.
Exactly. Yes. It's totally arbitrary and random. And it's like, if you are able to just visualize what words have those letters, then you can do it. It's not that hard.
Easier boggle.
Yeah. The words are not esoteric. Do you know what I mean? There's not like a word like, I accidentally got this, I have to look it up now. It's, what the words are. It's pretty simple. But it is fun.
Yeah,
but
like
so
drink.
The scary thing that happened to me was that there was one that took me all day long.
That's great. I love it.
And I was getting down. I had nothing. I could not figure it out. And it was to the point where like the puzzle comes out at midnight. I woke up at like 8 o'clock and I started in the morning and I didn't get it until I think 10 p.m. that night. And I was seriously starting to think like, is this it? I'm starting to slip? Like it's going away?
This is the first time.
Yeah, exactly. Is this meaningful?
So is it like, it's like the New York Times crossword in that it's like there's one Wordle for every day and everybody does the same one?
Exactly, yes.
So you only get the one per day.
Yeah, and that's one of the fun things about it is that everyone's doing the same one.
How quick did you get it? Here's how I got.
And you talk with your friends, like what was your starter word that got you, whatever. And I like that. I like the social aspect of it with people that but I don't like it when people post them online. I don't like it.
I know.
Me neither.
Okay, can we ask what was the word that got you?
Abby, Abbey.
That's a tricky one.
That's kind of a niche word, I'd say.
A little bit. The tricky thing is double letters because you are not thinking of that. I'll just speak for myself. I'm not thinking of that off the bat. For some reason, I'm going to. Oh, it must be unique letters, across the board, and you forget that you can get. Let's say you get A and it's a yellow and it's in the wrong place. There might be 2 A's. And you don't know until you keep guessing.
There.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
I feel like words that start with vowels are also trickier. Like I have not expected words to start with
because it's
vowels.
like where's the middle vowel? We already started with one. Where are we going from here?
Yep. Yeah, I don't think I need to do this because my phone alerted me today that I spend 5 hours and 40 minutes on my phone every day. And so I'm a little nervous.
Mine just went down to 6 hours. And I consider that a major accomplishment.
Okay, you're making Sammy feel a lot better.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm downloading it right now.
You got extra 20 minutes until you got to be really concerned.
But during quarantine, it was like you put in a full day's work on your phone.
Yeah, 24 hours a day.
24 hours, Henley.
Don't be ridiculous.
Henley, you have a child. This is not okay.
Someone come get him.
Okay, well, so. What is your experience with scary movies in general? Are you a big fan? Not so much.
I think I'm a medium fan. I think there's been peaks and valleys. Like I used to watch them when I was younger. I was never like a genre person in that way. Like, oh, I gotta see if this is coming out. This is my jam. I gotta go see it. And then a big turning point in my life was my wife and I had just moved in together. This is before we were married. And we were in this little house on Las Palmas. It was like it was above Franklin and kind of tucked away in this weird little area. And it was almost like a little cabin-y kind of house. Like it was a 2-floor house and we really liked it a lot. It turned out to be a nightmare because the landlord was a horrible creep. But so we'd barely been in there. It was summertime and it was really hot out. And we're like, let's go to the movies to cool off. So we walked to the Chinese theater and we went to see The Strangers. And I just like full body tension through the whole thing.
Yep.
We walked back. We like got in a fight for no reason.
Just so stressed.
Then it was like, oh, this stupid movie. And then it was nighttime. We got into bed, turned out the lights. I was wide awake.
Yeah.
Wide awake.
Oof.
And, you know, we'd never lived in a place that big before, like not since my childhood, you know, and it was like, there's too much ground
space
to cover in this place.
A
and
whole
it's like,
floor you're not on.
Yeah, it feels secluded. It feels like we had neighbors like adjoining the property, like they were right adjoining a wall, like they were right next door. But it felt like we were in the middle of nowhere. And so that was the beginning. And then the last horror movie I saw at that point was House of the Devil, which was a very well done movie, like replicating the Satanic Panic movies from the early 80s. It's so well done. But again, it's just like filling me with dread. And I was like, I don't think I like these movies. I'm not going to watch scary movies anymore.
Too scary.
Then too scary. Do not watch. And then a friend of mine, I was talking to a friend of mine about scary movies. And he said, I was talking about some movie. He goes, oh, is it supernatural? And I said, yeah. And he goes, oh, well, that's fine then. If it's supernatural, I can watch it because that's fake. It's more like movies that are like The Strangers or something where it's like that could actually happen.
Right.
He doesn't watch those. And I was like, okay. And then I started watching, you know, just supernatural movies. And it was a big difference. I was like, oh, okay, I can enjoy this. It would still be scary, but it wouldn't stay with me the way that it used to. The one exception is anything that has to deal with anything religious, anything that has to deal with demons, the devil, because I was raised Catholic. I am an atheist now. That shit stays with you forever. Forever. And so I watched Hereditary. That ruined me for a week. I had to like try. I would try to imagine like trying to come down from seeing Toni Collette in the corner of a ceiling, sawing her own head off. I have to picture her on a press junket. I have to picture her. Yeah. She's a producer. I have to picture her talking about how much it's going to cost to do this gag or whatever. Because it really fucked me up. It really fucked me up. And also then thinking about the logic flaws also will help me when I think about the plan in Hereditary to bring King Payman to Earth. I'm like, what? You guys are terrible at this. You're terrible at this. And also thinking about like the nude Satanists, like, do they take their clothes off before they go to the house and so they ride over in the car nude? Or do they get there and then they hide their clothes somewhere? Yeah, exactly. Like put these under the couch. They put them on
one person's car.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, quick, take your clothes off and we're going to run to the house.
Aaron's car. Put them in Aaron's car and then we'll all come back out.
Exactly.
My favorite thing to do was watching The Descent is my favorite horror movie. And
I still haven't seen that one.
Okay,
it's terrifying, right?
It's scary.
Well, you're not going to go in a cave, so maybe that'll be helpful.
You can avoid that one.
Don't go in a cave.
Do you know what? Already been in one, so I'm in the clear.
You're done.
I'm not going back. Only have to go in a cave once.
But yes, it is very scary. There are cave monsters in it, but there is on the DVD a special feature of the like actors in the costume, like cave monster dress dancing around, and I had to watch it after the movie every time. I'm like, this is perfect.
Yes.
Little palette like cleansers to make me not stressed out.
Yeah.
They're actors. It's not real. So yeah, you just got to find your little thing for afterwards.
I think my sweet spot is those Mike Flanagan series because there's so much story and emotion. And the scares, like I don't even mind when there's a jump scare, like a couple jump scares per show or whatever. Yeah. But I like I feel like it's the dread or the scares in it pay off so much more because you get so invested in the characters and you love them so much. And so that stuff he's got a perfect record with me. Like I've enjoyed everything that I've seen that he's done.
We love Mike Flanagan.
Yeah, love it. Haunting of Hill House, so good. Sammy really loved Haunting of Bly Manor.
Me too.
No, I liked Midnight Mass. Haunting of Bly Manor, I'd rank third out of those three. But
I would too, but I still really, I rewatch them every year.
See, I found it a little too scary. I started trying to watch an episode of Hill House and I found it a little too scary.
Hill House, I think, is the scariest one. I think Hill House is the scariest one.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree.
Okay. Hill House is, I think, the best one. It's like the most well done in my personal opinion.
I remember
you liked it.
But I have to say, I completely agree where I feel the same way about if it's supernatural or if it's a ghost, I can easily rationalize it away. If it's a man, men are so scary. Like they're the scariest.
That's unfortunately true.
Yep.
They're the
very true.
scariest.
Yeah.
They're the scariest.
Just watch Miss
Absolutely.
Congeniality and they're scary in that.
Wait, who was Christian Bale in Miss Congeniality?
No, Christian Michael Caine is in Miss Congeniality. God, I wish Christian Bale had been Miss
You
Congeniality.
see Michael Caine, you immediately go to Miss Congeniality.
It's true. It's true.
Christian Bale's
Oh
like
my
an
God.
intern.
I was gonna say, like, I know I've seen that movie. I don't remember Christian Bale.
God, I wish Christian Bale had been in it.
He'd be an adult.
God, he would have been great.
We all wish that. I think we all wish that. Yeah.
We do.
Ugh, I'm in a real
my
Christian Bale phase right now.
Yeah.
He's great.
He's great.
So I just rewatched American Hustle the other night. He's great.
Love it.
Oh boy, that's commitment to rewatch that movie.
I know.
Okay, well, so this movie in particular, this holds a special place for you, yes?
Yes, this is one of the earliest movies I can remember seeing. I saw this in the theater.
Oh my God, amazing.
My dad took me and my little brother to see it. It was too much for my little brother, but I mean, it was like 1975. Like I was a little kid, and
It's
I
scary.
loved it. I loved it. I don't
loved it?
remember being scared by it. I do remember being scared of the water, for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's a fear I retain to this day, but that's not just about sharks. That's about
Same.
anything that I can't see.
Deep water.
Oh,
Oh my God.
It's so scary.
It's the scariest thing of all.
It's so scary.
I love being on boats, but I will not go into the ocean further than I can stand.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's just
I
smart.
have to
That's
be able to
just
put my
smart.
feet on the sand. Yeah. But I love this movie. I've seen it a million times. I was thinking maybe I would go into this having not watched it just to see how I could do from memory. But then I thought if I miss one important detail, the whole thing will unravel. So I did watch it again this morning. This is the earliest I've ever watched this movie. It was 10 a.m.
I love a morning horror watch. I have done it as well.
Now, can I ask for Emily and Henley, have you not seen this movie?
So the only time I've ever kind of seen it was when I was at Katie Pinkard's house in like
Hi, Katie.
third grade.
Hi, Katie.
And hey, Katie, who was my frenemy. Katie, you know what I'm talking about. And it was in the background. And all of this is to say, I basically have never seen it. I've just seen some visuals from it before, but I don't really have any knowledge of the movie at all, honestly.
Emily?
I have seen it one time. I saw it in high school. I took a film class in high school, and we had to watch it. But my biggest fear is sharks, and I don't care how bad people say this shark looks. It scared the hell out of me. I just, for me, it's like it's the idea of a shark. It could look terrible, but if you're telling me it's a shark, I'm like, it makes me think of sharks, and then it's very scary.
So for reference, one time Emily was stuck in traffic next to a bus that had an image of a shark on it.
It was one of those 47 meters down movies, and it was the whole side of the bus. I think that's honestly irresponsible.
And yeah, she got scared. She got scared.
I really do.
so
I think
scared.
that's not an okay thing to force onto people.
That was the longest light of your life.
I was
being
not
next to that bus.
I was on Santa Monica in West Hollywood. I wasn't going anywhere.
Oh, no.
There's no escaping it.
Awful.
I mean, sharks are... I know that Peter Benchley has said, because of the popularity of this, I regret doing this because I think it fed into the fear and hatred of sharks. But it's hard not to be scared of them. It's really
hard
hard.
not to be scared of them.
Yeah,
They're
I mean, we're
giant
people, they eat
dinosaurs.
people. Yeah, exactly. And they eat indiscriminately.
They do eat enough people to make it like not safe, you know? It happens too often.
enough that you think about it. Like if it was one every 10 years, you'd be like, well, okay, but it's like it's more than that.
It's like 10 every year.
And it's like they don't just look a pure killed by a shark is a little more rare. But even if in any interaction with a shark, a bite, even you see one in the water, like, can you imagine?
No,
there would be
I
nothing
have many
scarier
times,
in the
but
whole. I know, right? There would be nothing scarier in the whole of human existence
Totally
than to
agree.
be in the water and see a shark.
Totally agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think you're
and
right.
I've said this many times, and I'll say it again. I feel like the burden is not on us, but the burden is on sharks to get better at knowing what is food and what is not food. They've been on this earth billions of years, like Figure it out, dude. Somebody in a wetsuit is not a seal. You've seen them enough times. You should know by now. And the idea that they don't know if they like how something tastes until they bite it, it's like, come on, man. That's not good enough.
I feel like they've done experiments on rats where they like shock a rat that does something. And then the next generation of rats all know, like, don't touch that thing. Like, why isn't the same happening for sharks here? Just
why are we shocking sharks left and right?
Pass that information down. You've learned something. Give it to the next generation.
Fill a dummy in a wetsuit with sawdust. You know what I mean? Like, make it unpleasant so that they know, okay, that's not food.
What are the scientists even doing if they're not doing this?
They're saying, be nice to sharks.
I will say for the record, sharks are my favorite animal.
Sammy,
this is
what?
a reveal.
Wait, I didn't know that.
She has a shark tattoo.
I have a shark tattoo. I love sharks.
Wow.
Yeah, I do. So just had to say that. But,
Fair
also
enough.
Scientists, step it up. Both can be true.
Step it up.
Exactly. That's right. I'm not going to get sharks. I'm just saying get better at being a shark. That's all I'm saying.
We've got a lot of time.
Fair.
More than anything.
More than anything.
Yeah, man. Jaws has a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. Because of course. But 87 on Metacritic, 8 on IMDb. IMDb is always the harshest.
Notoriously low.
The budget for this movie was $9 million. Box office, $472 million.
Holy
Unbelievable.
shit.
Incredible.
What does that mean? Like over the entirety of the existence of Jaws? Or because it's like, does that count in every time they replay it in a movie theater?
Probably.
I mean, I don't know exactly how it works, but it is like a lifetime gross. Yes.
It keeps going. It keeps going. Even still. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But, famously the first blockbuster, like it was a huge success. I think it was in theaters for a year or something like that.
Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was like summer was not a time that big movies came out in 1975. It was like that was when people were at the beach and people didn't really see movies during summer. And so, it was like the start of summer blockbusters. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. Okay, this is somewhat unrelated, but as we were talking about this, you said summer, we were talking about Jaws. I just had a memory come back up in my brain of when I was in middle school. I went to arts camp over the summer, and you could do different things at arts camp, but one of the things is you could make a movie. And I was a part of the group that made a movie, and it was like a mixture of like middle schoolers and high schoolers. So I was definitely like I had no say in anything that got done. I was just like along for the ride because high schoolers got to decide. Sure. And we made a movie called Coconuts that was basically a parody of Jaws, but the killer's coconuts, not sharks. I guess because statistically you're more likely to die from a coconut falling on you than a shark. And these are high schoolers who were like, we're so cool and smart. We know this. And it was in South Florida where like there are coconuts around. That was an easy prop to get. And I'd never seen Jaws at this time, but I just now remembered that we made a movie called Coconuts. I wish I could get my hands on it.
Oh, wait, you made the movie before you saw Jaws. You made a parody of Jaws before.
No, I didn't know we were doing. I was like 12.
That's artistic, I gotta say.
Wow, Coconuts. I had completely forgotten that. If anybody has it.
I want to say, I want to see that it exists somewhere.
I'm sure it's very bad.
Emily, what a fancy little lady you were. You're doing all these artistic things.
You're such a fancy little lady.
If nothing else, I was a fancy little lady.
Okay, should we watch this trailer?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh God, I'm nervous. I just realized I have to look at a shark.
There is a creature alive today who has survived millions of years of evolution without change, without passion, and without logic. It lives to kill. A mindless eating machine. It will attack and devour anything. It is as if God created the devil and gave him jaws. This is Universal's extraordinary motion picture version of Peter Benchley's best-selling novel, Jaws.
I just found out that a girl got killed here last week, and you knew it. You knew there was a shark out there. You knew it was dangerous, but you let people go swimming anyway.
It's all psychological. You yell barracuda. Everybody says, huh? What? You yell shark. We've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
Is it true that most people get attacked by sharks in 3 feet of water, about 10 feet from the beach? Yeah.
What we are dealing with here is a perfect engine, an eating machine.
We're not only going to have to close the beach, we're going to have to hire somebody to kill the shark.
Bad fish. But I'll catch him and kill him.
Did you hear your father? Out of the water now!
This shark, swallow you whole. You're going to need a bigger boat.
That's a 20-footer.
25. 3 tons on them.
Hurry up, he's coming straight for us. Don't screw it up now. Don't wait for me. Now! Shoot! What's he do? Give him room! I can't, he's trying to run! Oh! Come quick! I can't hold it! Hurry! Take it up! Brody! Everybody out of the water!
None of man's fantasies of evil can compare with the reality of Jaws. Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, Jaws. See it before you go swimming.
See it.
They don't make them like that anymore.
Don't.
Can we talk about how it's PG? Like,
Yeah.
does that seem right? It's PG? That's way too scary for a PG movie.
People just didn't know what to do with kids. Like, they just had no idea.
They didn't know.
It's wild. Yeah. It was PG.
It looks terrifying. At least the trailer didn't try to make it look not terrifying to me anyway.
It really does look like being on a boat, being actively attacked by a shark. Looks like the scariest thing imaginable. I was getting stressed.
That boat is too small.
It's too small.
It absolutely looks like too small of a boat.
That's right.
The trailer says it's as if the God made the devil on earth and gave him jaws.
A mindless
for
killing
everyone.
machine. Oh man. And yeah, I definitely think that's the same voiceover as the Omen trailer.
Oh,
it must
for sure.
be.
It sounds very familiar.
We've definitely heard that voice before.
Wow. Okay. Wow. I will say I like, it's crazy even just seeing shots in that trailer that like I've just seen over and over and just moments that are like always
Absolutely.
shown in every important film montage. Like it's burned into my brain.
Even in some of the less important ones.
Yes. Mediocre. Just regular movie montages.
Throw it in.
Wow.
Should
Okay.
Should we do it? Should we recap it?
Yeah.
Let's do
Paul,
it.
are you ready? Oh,
Yes, I'm ready. I took my
scared.
little notes. I'm all ready to go.
I'm scared.
All right.
I want to say this. I think for movie chickens, this is a very manageable, scary movie.
I think so too, as long as you're maybe not terrified of sharks like Emily. But even Emily has seen it. And so
that's true.
I keep wanting to see it again. I really do. It's like been on my list of, okay, maybe I could do that one, but then, you know, I'll always find an alternative before I commit. But maybe I'll do it again.
All right. This movie opens with beautiful underwater photography, some waving seaweed and so forth. Something is moving. We're seeing the POV of something moving. We're hearing what will be an iconic movie theme.
You know it.
Yeah.
The title comes up. Then we smash to some of the most 70s-ist college kids you've ever seen, hanging out on the beach, bonfire at night. Somebody's playing a harmonica.
Oh yeah.
Classic Hang.
I don't know. Maybe that was a thing. I don't know. I would have thought acoustic guitar, but no, this guy's doing a harmonica. Everybody seems to be enjoying it.
Let's bring it back.
It's more portable, you know? If you're trying to have a hang on the beach, just bring the harmonica, put it in your pocket.
You can swim with it, I think. So
It's practical.
there's a young man and a young lady are making eye contact across the fire, and you know it is on. So
Oh hell yeah.
they peel away from everybody, and the young lady starts running down the beach. The guy is drunkenly following her. She is taking her clothes off as she's running. A skinny dip is clearly about to take place. The guy is having a hard time keeping up.
No.
And she gets in the water. He's still trying to take his shoes off. He just kind of falls down and does not get back up again. She swims out and she's treading water. She's really enjoying this moonlight swim. She's like calling to him, come get in the water. He is clearly about to pass out. And then we see, again, an underwater POV zooming up to this young lady's legs.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden she feels something clearly pull her. And then it is happening. She is being attacked by something. She is being like dragged back and forth through the water. She's screaming. She gets dragged over to a buoy. She hangs onto the buoy. This really got me. She says, and she starts to say an act of contrition as she is hanging on to this buoy.
Oh no.
And then she is just being full on taken under the water. We cut back to this load passed out on the beach. It's the next morning. We are in a house. This is the house of Chief Brody and his wife Ellen. And they get up, and we clearly see that based on their dialogue, that maybe they're new to the island. They haven't lived there long. He gets a call. This is in the kitchen. This is how we find out he's the chief of police. Something serious has obviously happened. So he says, goodbye. I'm going to go check out. Well, I got to go find out what this is. And she's like, be careful. And he says, on this island, are you kidding me? Then he gets to the station. No, he goes to the beach, and we pass a big billboard that says "Welcome to Amity Island" with a artwork of a young lady in a bikini on a raft. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful pastoral scene. He is on the beach with this young kid, the passed out load that we saw earlier, and they're chatting. This girl that he was with last night has gone missing. He doesn't know what happened to her. They have a conversation about, is he from the island? And I really liked this, that he said, my parents live in Connecticut. I live in Greenwich. And he said, but you were born here? He goes, yeah, I'm an islander. And then they hear a whistle. It is Chief Brody's deputy, Hendricks, who has found something. They walk over and they discover the remains of this girl. What we see is kind of like, we see a head with hair like facing away from the camera. We see a hand, and it's being eaten. I'm sorry. It is being eaten by little crabs.
It's so many, a lot of crabs.
Yeah. There's just a swarm of little crabs have been feasting on her apparently over the course of the evening.
Crabs are disgusting. Crabs are absolutely disgusting.
They're not the best.
Little
They're not
sea
the best.
spiders. They really are.
There's a lot that's weird with crabs, and they need to knock it off too.
We've got notes for a whole bunch of sea creatures.
Yeah. How about this? First of all, walk normal. You will notice if you watch this movie that as the deputy's overcome with what he's seen, Brody is looking at it. He's very concerned. This kid does not know where to look. He's like a dog, like a trained dog on camera. He's just looking all over the place. Yeah. What would I do in this instance? So Brody goes to the station. He's on the phone with the coroner, and we just hear he's listening, and he types in on the report, probable cause of death, shark attack. And he asks, Hendricks, where are the closed beach closed signs? And he said, we don't have any. So Brody goes to get some supplies to make one of these signs. We see the town is getting ready for 4th of July. This is a beach community. Obviously, 4th of July is very important. And so he gets all the stuff, and he hands it off to Hendricks, and Hendrix says, oh man, the Boy Scouts they're training for their merit badges right now. They're swimming, off the dock at so-and-so. You got to go get them out of there. So Brody runs over there. He gets on his own little car raft or something. There's this, it's not a ferry, it's not a boat, it's literally just a platform with a control that
cute.
As he gets, it's adorable.
It sounds fucking cute.
I mean, everybody had to have one after this movie came out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as he's getting on here, a car pulls onto the little dock, onto his little raft, and it's the mayor, Mayor Larry Vaughn, the editor of the newspaper, who is, fun fact, played by Carl Gottlieb, who is one of the screenwriters.
That's fun.
And the coroner that he's already spoken with about this. And the mayor is saying, look, you can't shut down the beaches. This is extremely important. You can't just on your own authority. You're just going to go do this. You're not going to consult with, the town council and me and all that. And he's like, well, what are you going to do? It's like, this is public safety. And, we'll just close them down and until it's safe again and then open them back up. And the mayor's like, no, you don't understand. 4th of July is about to happen and we can't do this. And maybe it wasn't a shark at all. And then he says, right, it could have been a boat accident. And they look at the coroner, and the coroner, this little worm, he's like, yeah, I suppose that's possible. And, Brody's like, okay, you're really tying my hands here. We won't close the beaches, but we're going to take extra precautions. The mayor's like, great, you take extra precautions, do what you can, but just don't close the beaches. But we'll be very careful.
I just want real quick the listeners to know that Paul is wearing the outfit of the mayor, because that might not come across in the audio format, but it's important.
It might not.
It's important to know.
Sound like he's wearing that outfit, but he is.
I was trying to project that with my voice, but I understand how it might be too subtle.
Making some vocal choices that would indicate a certain dress.
Since I was a child and saw this movie, I was in love, because I was a fancy little gentleman, and I was in love with the jacket that Murray Hamilton, who plays the mayor, wears in this scene. It is a blazer that's like a light blue with big anchors all over it. And I one time put it out there online that I was trying to find this jacket. I mean, I've searched all over for this jacket, could not find it. And somebody sent me a swatch of this material and said, here's where you can find it. And so I got the material. I went to my man Sibo in West Hollywood, and he made me a 3-piece suit out of this blazer material.
Incredible.
Yeah, I was thrilled. So I had to throw it on for this. You can't blame me.
I love it.
So the next day we're on the beach, and 4th of July is looming. Everybody's on the beach, and Brody is freaked out, right? So everyone's frolicking, and we see like a guy playing with his dog. He's throwing his stick. The dog's going in the water and bringing the stick back. We see this little boy whose name is Alex Kintner say to his mom, like, hey, can I go in 10 more minutes? And the mom is like, well, all right. So he goes back out with his raft. Brody is on the beach watching this, and he's seeing like false alarms. Like there's some sort of shape that's moving towards these people, like this black shape. And then it goes under them. And then it turns out it's Harry. He runs the hardware store or whatever. He's wearing a weird bathing cap. Harry is also bald, so I don't know why he was wearing this.
He's protecting his head.
You know what? That's true. From sunburn. Absolutely. Harry, I apologize. Then he sees like these girls screaming, and he looks over. It's of course because some dudes, they're playing some grab ass in the ocean. So his wife, Ellen, is trying to relax him and like, hey, don't be so tense. Everything's going to be fine. And he like starts to relax. We're back underwater. We are hearing the iconic theme. We are seeing Alex Kintner's raft from below and his legs kicking. And then the music comes to a crescendo. Back to the beach. We see like this commotion in the ocean. And there's like the raft is flying up. There's tons of blood, and people are like, what is good? Do you see that? We also see, to a lesser extent, we see the stick floating in the water that the dog was chasing. The guy's calling for the dog. And then Alex gets attacked. And we also see this iconic, it's a rack focus, right? Of Brody on the beach. What is it called?
Yeah, like a vertigo zoom.
Vertigo zoom.
Oh, yeah, where we go in and out at the same time.
It brings a tear to my eye every time I see it because it's such a perfect shot.
It's so good. And it conveys so much emotion. Like, so the camera is pulling away whilst zooming in on Roy Scheider as Chief Brody. And he is like, there's so much in there that like, this is happening and you sort of like, no, he's feeling this is happening and it's my fault because I didn't close the beaches. Mm-hmm. This is on him. He feels like it's on him. So, Brody calls for everybody to get out of the water. Everybody gets out of the water and then it's quiet and Mrs. Kintner, Alex's mom, is walking to the water's edge, calling for him. She's looking around. She can't see him.
So sad.
And then, and I will say, this is a bit much. The torn raft washes ashore with and like a little puddle of blood. And it's like, okay.
We get it. Okay, Steven, we get it.
We get it. The kid's dead.
So crazy. A kid is brutally murdered. We watched kid get brutally murdered. This movie's PG. I'm just reiterating that one time.
What's amazing is like I've seen this I've watched this movie 1,000 times, and that scene, it is done so well because you don't really know what you're seeing. Mm-hmm. It's just like this movement and a shape and blood and everything. And it's not as on the nose as you would, as probably he would have done if the shark had worked properly, which is the famous lore of this movie, was that the mechanical shark had all kinds of problems. And it, of course, made the movie 1,000 times better than if we had seen it already. So I think that scene is so effective because it's scary. You don't know what's happening, but you know it's bad. Mm-hmm. So the next day there is a town meeting and Mrs. Kintner is offering a bounty for the shark. I think it's $30,000 or something like that. Oh, that's right. Because it's low stakes at this point. Yeah. So $3,000. And everyone's panicked about business, right? Everybody's like, what are we going to do? Like, this is death for us.
Are they saying this in front of the woman whose son died from a shark?
Mrs. Kintner wisely opted to not attend the town meeting.
Okay, great. Because it does feel like the stakes are unevenly matched here.
She was like to someone, tell them I'll pay $3,000. Let me know what happens.
I'm going to stay home. Yeah. Okay, smart.
Yeah. So Chief Brody gets up and says, hey, so we're going to take all these measures. Everybody's like, are you going to close the beaches or not? He's like, we're doing this and that. Just tell us if you're going to close the beaches. He says, yes, we're going to close the beaches. And everybody erupts. The mayor says only for 24 hours. Brody says, I didn't agree to that. Everybody's going nuts. In the midst of this commotion, you hear literally nails on a chalkboard. You see a hand dragging nails down a chalkboard that's in this room. Everybody goes quiet. They all turn around. There is a beautiful shot of this wild looking old lady. That is one of my favorite things. And we turn and we see it is Robert Shaw as Quint, who is this old salt who is sitting there. He's got everyone's attention and he delivers this great speech about, listen, you guys don't know what you're doing. This is a great white shark. It's a big deal. If you give me $10,000, I'll go out and catch this shark. I'll give you the entire thing because you guys are going to fucking kill yourselves. So just consider that and goodbye. And he leaves. So they do close the beach for a day. They put up the signs. Brody's like trying to study up on sharks, learn everything he can about them. It's freaking him out. This is what I love about 70s movies. There's such real stuff like this. Like Brody is reading this book. You see these images that he's reading. His wife Ellen comes and sits down behind him, and he is like, "Oh!" He like turns around. He's startled, and he scares her, and it's like a great real marriage moment. I love that stuff so much, and I miss that kind of thing in movies. And he's like, I don't know what to do. This is so bad, and we gotta figure out what we're gonna do about this. He asks, "Where is Michael?" She says he's sitting in his birthday present, the boat that we gave him. And he's like, get up. He's like, get out of that boat, get out of that boat. And Ellen's like, come on, leave him alone. He's you're going to freak him out. And he's like, well, I don't want him to be freaked out. In the meantime, Ellen looks at this picture of she looks at this picture of a shark attacking a boat, like a painting. And she's like, get out of that boat right now.
It's a great moment.
Yeah, it's so good. So that night, two fishermen who are going after this bounty go out on a dock. And one of the guys has got his wife's Sunday roast. They stick a big hook in it. They tie it to a tire and they throw it out to catch this shark. And so the tide takes it out. You see the tire floating away. And as they're sitting there, they're shooting the shit and everything. The rope goes taut. And it starts, and they're like, hey, we got him. The rope goes so taut, it pulls the dock away from the shore. So this little tiny dock is like floating out. One guy gets carried out with it. He's just in the water by himself. And you see the dock moving.
Is it nighttime?
It is nighttime.
Oh, no.
Then you see the dock turning around and it starts to move towards the guy that's in the water. He is like, the guy that's still on shore is like, take my word for it. Don't turn around. Just swim as fast as you can. So he like swims. The floating dock is getting closer to him. His friend is like reaching out his hand. He's grabbing up. His like wet feet are slipping on the dock, on what's left of the dock. He finally gets up and the dock just like floats into shore and is gone. And so this guy barely escaped with his life. Fun fact about that: this was shot day for night, and then it was all dubbed ADR. And it's a great. You would never know it until you are told that. You would never know it.
Right.
It's done so well.
Is there more day for night in this? I feel like. Did they do that?
I think there might be. I'm trying to remember there as we go on. I bet it'll come to us that there was another scene that looked like, because once you see this scene and you see that later scene, you're like, I think they did the same thing here.
Yeah.
Cool.
So these guys don't catch the shark, obviously. The next day, we see on the I guess the main docks of the marina of Amity.
Yeah,
it is absolute chaos. There's all these people in boats, like to varying degrees of competence. You know, like some boats there's like 10 guys on there, and they all have their little plans and shit like that. And this is when Matt Hooper arrives from the Oceanographic Institute at Woods Hole in the mainland. And he's looking around like this is bad news. He goes in he sees Brody and follows him into this little shack, and where Brody's like making calls like, hey, these guys are nuts. He's a great scene where Brody's alone on the phone trying to get back up to deal with this. His man Hendrix is out there on the pier, and he picks up like some pennies or something and throws them at the window. And Hendrix turns around and just waves. And he's like, "No, get in here."
I do too.
Yeah, it's so good. So he says, look, go out and talk to these guys. You know them. And he's like, I don't know these guys. There's people from all over that have heard about this bounty. And now it's just
$3,000?
For $3,000, yeah. Yeah. You have to understand. In 1975, that was $1 million.
That's right.
Yeah. So these guys are all going out with their stupid plans to catch the shark. And meanwhile, Hooper goes to examine the remains of the girl, Chrissy, that was the first attack. And he's in there in the coroner's office with the coroner and Brody. And he's looking at it. And like you can see from his face, this is bad news. And he knows right away this is a shark attack. And so he's describing it, in clinical terms as he's looking at it. At one point, he looks at the coroner and he's like, this wasn't a boat accident. He's like pissed. He takes a pen and he lifts up the arm, and you can see like a huge bite has been taken out of this girl's forearm. And he puts it back down and he's like, here's what happened. A shark bit this girl. It was on a propeller. It was not Jack the Ripper. It was a shark. And you've got to do something about this.
Yep.
We see these guys out on the water again. They're like... People are like, they're chumming the water, like throwing fish guts in there, or like just like look like cuts of meat. One guy is like just lighting fucking M80s and throwing them in the water. It's wild. We also, there's a great little mini monologue by this guy, Ben Gardner, who is a local fisherman who's mentioned many times. He just does this rambling speech as he's going out there. Boy, where do we get those sons of bitches out on those rocks? They'll wish their fathers met their mothers when they start turning their bottoms down those rocks, boy. It's so great. He's clearly like a local hire, this guy.
But that was his moment.
Yes, that was his moment, and he fucking he ate it up. So Hooper gets back to the Hooper and Brody get back to the pier where they have caught a shark. We cut to a shark mouth being opened. It's like a bloody mouth. Everybody's very excited. Like, we did it. It's one of these boats with 10 guys on it. They caught this shark. They hoist it up on the dock so everybody can see. They take a picture for the paper. Hooper is very skeptical, and he's like, I don't think this is definitely the shark. He goes and measures the mouth and everything. At one point, this is one of my favorite moments. The guys that caught it are looking at it and they're like, what kind of shark is this? I think it's a macaw. I think it's this, that. And Hooper says it's a tiger shark. And a guy turns around to him. This big burly guy turns around and says, a what? It took me, I want to say I watched this movie probably 10 times before I realized, oh, he's making fun of him. Because we see this guy talk in other scenes where he's like, he has a normal voice, but he's making fun of this city guy and putting on a little feminine, a what? And it's a great moment. So then Hooper goes up to Brody and says, look, I don't think this is the shark. And the mayor overhears this and starts walking over there. And he's like, it could be, it probably is, but the bite radius doesn't match, and you want to be sure that you have the correct shark. And the mayor's like, no, this is it for sure. And Hooper says the best way to find out is we cut the shark open, and the remains of the Kindler boy would be in there. It's less than 24 hours, and the mayor says, no, there's no way I'm going to let you do that. This is the shark. End of story. Goodbye. So right after that, everybody kind of turns and looks, and what they see is Mrs. Kintner being walked by presumably her father. They're dressed in mourning. She's got a veil over her face. She walks up to Chief Brody and says, Chief Brody, and he says, yes. Oh, she takes up her veil and says, Chief Brody. He says, yes. And she slaps his face. And she says, I just heard that somebody else, a young woman, was attacked before my son was killed. So you knew there was a shark out there, and you left the beaches open. And it's tough, man. Like, it's such a good scene. It's brutal.
Oh, that's devastating.
And, it's horrible. And he knows it. And, Hooper, I can't remember if it's Hooper or the mayor says, she's wrong, Martin. And he goes, no, she's not.
Some trivia, though, just so you know, she actually slapped him. She was not doing a good job fake slapping. And so they did 17 takes of her actually slapping him.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And people who are Jaws aficionados who have met her, because she still lives on Martha's Vineyard where this was shot.
Oh my God, they make her slap
I think she's still alive. Yes, they will ask, will you slap?
That's awesome.
I think that's the origin of people like, oh my God, Adam Driver slit my neck open and drink my blood. Mrs. Kintner slapped my face.
This is the first.
So Hooper, Brody is back home. He's devastated. He is like, he's had a few drinks. He's sitting there at the table. He can't eat, and he's there with his little son, Sean, his youngest. And there's this wonderful moment that I think kind of happened by accident. And then they made it a scene where Brody is like got his head in his hands, and then he's, kind of, rubbing his chin, and he sees that the little boy, his little son, is mimicking his movements. So then they start to do this little game where Brody is making faces. He's doing these things with his hands, and the little boy is mimicking him. Ellen is in the doorway of the kitchen watching this. It's a beautiful, tender moment in the midst of this character's, story. And, at the end, he says to his son, give us a kiss. And his son says, why? And he says, because I need it. And so the little boy kisses him on the cheek.
That's really sweet.
It's so good. And then there's a knock on the door, and guess who's here? It's Hooper with 2 bottles of wine. He comes in and sits down and says, I forgot about this. He's like, Martin Brody's food is untouched in front of him. He's like, is anybody eating this? And he just takes the full plate of food and starts eating this.
Nice.
Love the confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. And he assessed the situation pretty quick.
I think he was right. Look, I brought wine. Give me this food.
Absolutely. Red and white. Didn't know what you would be serving. So he tells his story, and he's like a rich kid from, somewhere in I think this is supposed to be New York State. This is off. I think Amity is supposed to be off of New York. And he's like this rich kid from New York who, has been studying sharks all his life. He grew up on boats and stuff like that. And so he's had the life of leisure that one needs in order to make sharks a full-time hobby. So he says, that's not the shark. And the only way we could have proved it is to cut open the shark. And Brody's like, Brody has opened up a bottle of red wine, and he pours a full water glass of red wine for himself. And this is the thing I noticed. I've noticed something new every time I watch this movie. This is the first time I noticed there were ice cubes in the glass.
Oh my God.
So he's just got this water glass. He pours red wine in, and then he pours each of them a normal glass of wine.
I didn't even notice it. I just watched it, and I thought it was for sure a beer because it's a 16-ounce glass of wine.
Yeah. You can hear, you can see the ice cubes tumbling in there. And so Brody's like, okay, well, why don't we're going to go down there and cut the shark open. And Ellen says, can you do that? And he says, I can do anything. I'm the chief of police. So drunk, he and Hooper go to the dock, to the little shack where this shark carcass is being kept. This is very artfully done. Hooper knows where to cut. He takes a big knife, and the shark's back, for lack of a better term, is to us. And so Hooper, you can see that he is making hidden from the camera. He's making an incision in the shark. This gross milky substance floats out.
So nasty.
It's so gross. And it must have smelled horrible.
Well, the shark that they had strung up in the previous scene was a real shark. So I don't know if I don't know. This one I'm sure is not, but they said it smelled.
This one I think is fake.
It smelled very bad in that previous scene because they had to ship it in from Florida.
Oh,
it was like a shark that had been killed in Florida, and they shipped it in, and so it only came in a few days later, and they said it smelled very bad.
Ew.
Yeah. And you can when you see it on the dock, there's flies on it and stuff. This is the real deal. So he's pulling out a fish head. Then he pulls out a whole fish and a whole intact fish. Then a tin can. And he says, tiger sharks, this is a tiger shark. They're like goats. They eat garbage. He says it came up through southern waters. Brody says, how do you know? He pulls out a license plate from Louisiana and tosses it over to him. So they're like, well, this isn't it. We know for sure this is not the shark because there's no human remains in here. So, Hooper has a boat. He says, let's go out and look for it. So they get on his fancy high-tech boat, and they're talking, and we learn why Brody moved to Amity, because he was a New York cop, and he just got overwhelmed by the idea that he couldn't make anything better. There was crime everywhere, especially in the 70s. It must have been insane. And he felt like he couldn't make a difference, but he felt like moving here, he could actually matter to a community. And he's at this point, he's just drinking straight out of a bottle of white wine. So, Hooper, so they find, Hooper's got sonar and radar and all this shit on his boat. They find, they're getting a blip on his radar, and they find it's a boat, a sunken boat, a half sunk boat. And, Brody says, oh man, that's Ben Gardner's boat. Let's tow it in. And Hooper's like, no, let me dive in there. I'll put on my scuba suit. I'll go in and just check it out. And he's like, I think we should tow it in. And he's like, no, we should definitely let me go in the water and check this out.
He's so confident about it. It's going to be fine.
He loves sharks. He loves them.
Seems crazy.
He's a regular Sammy. So he gets all suited up. He goes down. He's got a flashlight, and he sees this big hole in the side of the boat under the water. And he finds a tooth, a huge serrated tooth. And he's looking at it, and he's holding on to it, and he's looking in the boat further. And then one of the greatest jump scares in film history, a horrible head floats into the center of the hole in the boat. It's been under there for a few days, obviously. One of the eyes has been eaten out by who knows what. It's mottled and gray and gross. And that's Ben Gardner, the guy who gave the famous speech.
My cat jumped. It scared my cat.
Oh, it got a cat. That is awesome. That is awesome. It does help that there's a huge musical sting when it comes out.
Yes.
But it's a great effect. It's such a great effect. And Hooper is freaked out. He drops the tooth and he comes back up to the surface. And The next day, they go to Mayor Vaughn and they say, you have to close these beaches. I found this tooth. Oh, but they're outdoors, by the way. They're on the beach where somebody has defaced the Welcome to Amity sign. They've put big scared eyes, painted big scared eyes on the girl in the bikini and a fin in the water and a word bubble saying, ooh, help shark. So the mayor's there. Brody and Hooper say, you got to do this. Hooper says, I found this tooth. He's like, where is this tooth? I don't see it. He's like, I lost it. He goes, look, I know you want to prove that there's a shark here so you can get your name in National Geographic, but we are not closing the beaches. The water is safe. They found a shark. And look, this is vandalism. That's our biggest problem right now. And so he won't budge on closing the beaches.
I think it's linked to the shark, my dude.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
The vandalism seems like the kind of shark problem came first.
You can't tell this guy anything.
You can't talk to this guy. Impeccably dressed, but unreasonable.
Exactly. His two chief qualities. So the next day, it's 4th of July. We see people coming in from all over. The beaches are packed. There's a news crew out on the beach, and they're doing a story saying, like, this town was plagued by fears of a shark, but now here they are. Everybody's out there. Fun fact, that reporter is played by author Peter Benchley.
Ooh. Is this where he says, like, a cloud came into the town?
Yes.
A cloud in the shape of a shark.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It really made me laugh.
And then he felt bad about it. Yeah. So everybody's there, but nobody's getting in the water. So the mayor goes up to this family. This is the wildest family because it's like these two seemingly older people. And he's like, you got to get in the water. Take your kids in the water. And the kids get up. The kids are very young. So it's like, are these the parents or the grandparents, or is this just the 70s? And that's what families look like. So they all join hands and they get in the water. And then other people start to get in the water. You know, the family's very nervous, but everyone else is like, oh, okay, it's fine. It's great. But side note, I don't know what he's complaining about. Everybody's still there. Like, everyone's on the beach. Like, it's fine.
They still need to buy stuff at the stores.
Yes, exactly. There's no money in the water itself. So they're taking all kinds of precautions. They have people on lifeguard stations. They have spotters all over the place. They have a helicopter. They have Coast Guard boats, all that. Brody tells his son Michael to take his new boat to the pond, this estuary. He says, go over there where it's, less crowded. And he's like, oh, but that's for old ladies. And he's like, just do it for me, So he reluctantly goes over to this, what seems to be the safer area. We see underwater view, lots of legs splashing around, stuff like that. And we know that from what Hooper has told us, this kind of like how we are in the water mimics fish in distress. And that's why sharks are attracted to us, because they're like, oh, great, this fish is dying. And then they're like, oh, this fish has arms and legs somehow. You fucking idiot.
Do better.
Stupid sharks.
Do better, sharks.
So the mayor's interviewed. He couldn't be happier. It's like the sun is shining, the beaches are full, and, amity means friendship and all this. So then we see these people having a conversation in the water, and then this fin comes toward them. Somebody sees it. Shark! Everybody's going crazy. Like, this is absolute madness. People are losing their shit. People are swimming out of the water. There are 2 instances of grown men knocking kids over.
There's one old man that pushes a kid off of his floaty so that he can get on the floaty.
Exactly. One guy, for no reason, just pushes over a raft with 4 kids on it. It's like,
give me that.
You can go around that.
Like, what?
So
that's how it really happened.
100%. Absolutely. So everybody's losing their mind. People are, somebody blows a whistle and Brody's like, no whistles. We're trying not to have a panic, but it's bad. And there's people that have to be dragged out of the water because they got essentially trampled. It's quiet. Everybody's looking around like, okay, it's fine. We cut to these 2 kids in scuba gear, and they have a fake fin. And they come up out of the water. They turn around. There's all these Coast Guard guys on a boat pointing guns at them. And one kid's like, he made me do it. And so Hooper radios into Chief Brody, like, it's just some kids playing a prank. Then we we cut to a girl with a ton of patches on her jeans is walking along near the pond, and she sees the dorsal fin and I don't know what the back fin is called, but it's a great shot because it looks scary. It's quiet. You just see it silently. This thing is gliding through the water, and this girl, very stunted delivery, I have to say, but I mean, maybe she was trying to make it realistic. Like if I were scared, I wouldn't be perfectly enunciating shark, but she literally goes, shark. So she's going, shark in the pond, shark in the estuary. Ellen says, Michael's in the estuary. Brody starts hauling ass to this pond. We see this fucking mansplaining dude in another boat. So we see Michael and his friends in their little boat. This dude comes up in another boat like, hey, you guys okay over there? Here's what you got to do. We see the shark coming towards the boats. The shark knocks over both boats, right? And this dude that was trying to help them out with his unsolicited advice, he's trying to swim back to his boat. This is the first real glimpse we see of the shark. Underwater, we see him, the blurry image, the watery image of the shark go towards this guy. He starts screaming. We cut back to, the view from the beach, and we see there's a commotion. This guy is screaming. We go back. The shark is like biting into him, presumably. We cut to underwater. This guy's disembodied leg with its shoe on it floats down. We see the top of the stump is like all bloody and bits are hanging out. Yeah, it's really gross. It's still very good. Unfortunately, we do follow it all the way down where it hits the bottom, and then you see this leg is definitely made of rubber because it's like it jiggles a little bit. Yeah. So see if you're scared, there's all kinds of things like this that are very helpful along the way. So Brody is still running over there. We see kind of shark's eye view. The shark heads towards his son, Michael, and then just veers away, which is apparently a thing that sharks will do. Like they don't necessarily eat everything in sight. They might bite this thing and go past this other thing. You don't know what they're going to do. So, they get Michael out of the water. He's in total shock. And they take him to the hospital. At the hospital, they're admitting Michael, and the guy pushing the gurney that Michael is on, I never noticed this before, but looks a lot like John Early. So that's another fun little Easter egg. That's fun. He's like a 70s John Early. Love it. And so they put him in the hospital. Vaughn is there. The Mayor Vaughn isn't there. He's clearly in shock. Like he's just like he's dejectedly smoking in the hospital. Nice. And Brody says, okay, come with me. And he takes him into this room, pulls the curtain. He says, you're going to sign this thing giving Quint the authority and the money to get this shark. And the mayor's just in shock. Like I was acting in the town's best interest. He's like trying to talk himself into being okay about this. And Brody's like, just sign it. And he goes, Martin, my kids were on that beach too. And then Martin hands him a pen and he signs the thing. And so Brody leaves. Now, oh boy. Brody and Hooper go to meet Quint in his shark shack, which is like this cabin by the dock that is covered with shark jaws all over. This guy is like a shark guy. So he is very antagonistic towards Hooper. He's barely polite to Chief Brody. And this was also a thing that it took me a long time to notice, that when you are younger and you watch this movie, you think Quint is such a cool character. Like he's really fun. And then when you get older, you realize this guy's a fucking dick.
He's an asshole.
He's horrible.
He is an asshole.
He is toxic masculinity. Yeah. Like he is truly terrible. And he makes things worse by being this way. Yeah. So he's like, I'm just going to go out there by myself. And he's like, no, we got to go out there. And it's my party. It's my charter. We're all going to go out there. He starts like trying to, pull some dick measuring contest with Hooper. And so the scene is set like these guys are not going to get along. And so they go out to the boat. Quinn agrees to let them both come out. Ellen is seeing him off and she is freaked out. And like, once he gets on the boat, she turns and she runs away. It's like, that's I love that moment so much. I think that's a great detail to include, that this is terrifying. He says, just tell the kids I'm going really fishing, scary. So they're out on the boat. Brody is chumming. He's throwing fish guts in the water. Quint is sitting in the fishing chair, and he's drinking a beer. He drinks the whole beer. He just chugs the beer in one go, and he crushes the can while looking at Hooper. Very funny moment. Hooper finishes his plastic cup of water and then crushes that.
That's great.
So Quint says, hey, drop another marker for this chum so we know where we are. Brody goes back. He pulls the wrong rope and undoes some of Hooper's equipment. These scuba tanks roll out, and Hooper like jumps and stops them from rolling. He's like, you got to be careful with this stuff. It's compressed air, and if you drop it the wrong way, this whole boat could blow up. He's like, okay, Jesus. So this is a great ominous thing. Quint's line starts rolling. So it clicks and he looks down at it, and then it's slowly click, 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 clicking. So something has taken the line, right? So it's clicking slowly. And he's getting into this, harness, strapping himself into the chair. He puts the fishing rod in this holder, and he thinks he's got the shark. And then the line just goes. And so he's got something. He's trying to, reel it in. It's like, it's impossible. Eventually the line snaps, and, Hooper flies backwards. Hooper's pulling on the line. He and Brody fly backwards. Brody hits his head, and, Quint's like, you're bleeding. Go take care of that. Later, it's a little bit later. Quint tells Brody, start chumming again. And, Brody's like, why can't Hooper do it? And he's like, Hooper drives the boat, Chief. So Brody is muttering like, why do I have to do this? I can drive the boat, whatever. As he's chumming out these fish guts, he throws out a little shovel full, and then you see the shark. Now we're getting a clear view of the shark. Comes out of the water. Brody sees it, snaps up. He slowly backs into the cabin of the boat and says to Quint, you're going to need a bigger boat. Oh. Everybody goes crazy. The crowd goes wild. So now they go out and they look and they see like the length of this shark. Hooper's like, it's 20 feet. Quint says it's 25. Quint gets this harpoon gun, and he's going to tie this harpoon. The harpoon is tied to a barrel that will then the harpoon goes in the shark. The barrel will slow the shark down. So he can't dive. It'll keep him up and tired and everything. As he's getting this all ready, Hooper runs and gets this tracking device and slaps it on the barrel just in time. Quint shoots. The barrel goes. The harpoon goes in the shark. The barrel is away, and so now we know where the shark is by seeing this barrel. Mm-hmm. There's a call on the radio. So Quint goes in, and they say it's the chief's wife wants to talk to the chief. And he says, put her on. And he says, hey, Mrs. Brody, everything's great. We're just fishing here, and your husband caught a couple bluegills. No big news to report yet. We'll call you later. Okay, goodbye. And he hangs up. Nobody knows that this has happened except us. We see the barrel being dragged. They chase it. The barrel goes under. That night, they're in the cabin of the boat. They don't know where the barrel is. They haven't seen it. Brody is like touching his head. He's worried about it. And Quint says, hey, don't worry. It's not going to be permanent. You want to see something permanent? And he pulls out a false tooth. Then Hooper shows a scar that he has. Then they start trading scars that they've gotten, and they're really getting into it, having a good time. At one point, great cutaway. Brody lifts up his shirt to look at his appendix scar, and he's like, nah, I'm not going to mention it.
Oh, that's great. That's really funny.
And then, so everybody's laughing, and they're getting along for the first time. And Brody says, hey, Quint, what's that one there on your arm? And Quint says, oh, I had a tattoo removed. And, oh, what tattoo? The USS Indianapolis. And Hooper stops laughing and he goes, you were on the Indianapolis? Then Robert Shaw goes into this very famous speech about the USS Indianapolis, which is a true story of this secret mission that this, was it a aircraft carrier, I think, maybe?
I can't remember, but we talked about it once on the podcast because I found out about it by... There's another podcast I listen to called Obsessed, and one of the hosts on that, Mary Beth Barone.
Oh, Joseph Scrimshaw?
No, it's Mary Beth Barone and Benito Skinner.
Oh, this is a different Obsessed.
A different Obsessed. And Mary Beth Barone once talked about she was obsessed with there's a video on YouTube where you can watch the Titanic sink in real time. And I woke up one morning and decided that I would do that. And I was really, really into it. I skipped forward a bit because it goes just in real time, and it's a model of it happening with little blurbs coming up of 12.
Like pop-up video.
Yeah. Like 12:15 p.m. Safe or ship 37 goes out with, 20 people on board. It's like, I found it really fascinating. And then we talk a lot about Vesselheads on our show too.
Of course.
So I'm a true Vesselhead, and this just led to me doing vessel research. And then I found out about the USS Indianapolis. I had, of course, heard this monologue before, but had never assumed that it was real. And so it was like learning it for the first time and then piecing together that this was that. I was like, holy shit, I can't believe this happened.
Yeah.
I can imagine nothing more horrifying.
Oh, it's the scariest fucking thing. And I mean, you guys, so if people don't know, the story is, and this was a real story, the USS Indianapolis was a Navy vessel that delivered important components of the atomic bomb in World War II. The mission was secret. So when they were coming back, they got torpedoed by the Japanese. No one knew where they were because it was a secret mission. So I think it was something like 900. I think 300 went down with the ship. 900 were in the water, just floating, like waiting for help.
But no distress signal, nobody coming.
No. And they were in the water for, I think, 4 days, was it? And I think more than, how many were taken by sharks?
It was only 316 survived. So that's like close to 600 people dying just floating in the water. I don't know how many were killed by sharks, because some of them, was by dehydration. But yeah, man, just being floating in the water for 4 days, people being eaten by sharks around you, dying of thirst, probably like some of them I think were like hallucinated. There's interviews with survivors of it. There's a documentary about it, but I truly can't imagine anything more horrifying. And one detail that I told, I'm sorry, I'm going to tell it again, even though it's so gross and upsetting, is that when they got rescued and they were pulling them out of the water, their like skin would fall off because they were so like waterlogged that when they tried to pull them up by their life vests, like their skin would like slip through it. And so they had to like, oh my God, it's so horrifying. And those poor people. And I just can't believe it's a real thing that happened. Real life is the scariest thing of all, you guys. We talk about it a lot.
Is.
So true. So true.
A lot of bad things can happen once you exist.
Yeah. Remember my Wordle story? Yeah.
Terrifying. So wait, one more quick thing about this.
Once.
Yeah.
Sammy, when we talked about this, we were like, I can't believe there hasn't been like a horror movie made about this. It's just too horrifying. That's why they haven't done it. It's too horrifying.
Oh, to watch that for like 2 hours? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we thought the exact same thing, but after that aired, listeners DM'd us and they were like, there was a movie that was made about this starring Nicolas Cage.
I started to watch this movie and it was so fucking boring. Like I got 20 minutes into it and I was like, I'm not going to stick around to see people eaten by sharks if this movie sucks this bad already. Like, that's not a reward.
No.
This is what I buckle in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Horrifying.
Another thing about this speech, it was not in the original screenplay, but I believe it was written, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sammy, if you know this, that it was written to give the character of Quint essentially a reason to be the way that he is about this shark. Yeah. Because he becomes very single-minded about it. And it was like, what is his reason for doing this and not listening to anybody else? And it's this.
Thank God they added it in, because it's critical.
So good. And it's so critical. And I remember reading that the first attempt at it, Robert Shaw decided, I want to be really drunk for this to do it.
It's a great idea.
And of course it sucked. If you're an actor listening to this, don't do that amateur hour bullshit just because you heard some other famous person do it or whatever. Jeremy Strong, whoever the fuck, don't do it. You're not acting then, you idiot. So
we're big Jeremy Strong apologists here, so sorry.
I understand, but you can't give him that one. That's not good.
Sure.
So no, that's rude. It's rude.
It's rude. It's rude. It's disrespectful for your coworkers.
It's a collaborative medium. Yes.
It's selfish and it's rude.
Yeah. Yes. And also, act it. That's your
That's the job.
That's the fun.
Just do the thing.
It's
That's
also
the fun of it.
the only thing you're there to do.
Yes.
Yeah, the only thing.
So, there's like a moment of silence after Quint retells this horrible story. He finishes by saying, "I'll never put on a life jacket again." Anyway, we deliver the bomb. So then there's a moment of silence. Then you hear a wail in the distance. It's quiet again. Quint starts to sing his signature tune, "Farewell and Adieu to You Fair Spanish Ladies." Nobody joins in. Then Hooper starts to sing, "Show Me the Way to Go Home." And then they all start to sing. They're all like drunk and bummed out. And it's like this real fun bonding moment for them. Then at one point there's a big bang. And we see that the part of the sides of the boat, the boards are being pushed in and water's like getting through. Quint notices first and he says, "Okay, this is bad." So they all scramble. The shark is unseen, is just ramming the boat, attacking it over and over again. It's very Moby Dick. Like it's fucking this boat up. And so then the power goes out. They're like running around in the dark trying to figure out what to do. We can see the barrels because of the tracker that Hooper has put on one of them. We can see the barrel, so it's flashing so we can see it. They see it outside. The ship is taking on water. Quint just starts firing a rifle at the shark. Brody gets his service revolver and he loads it. And behind him, we see overhead a shooting star, which becomes a Spielberg signature from then on. I think this is the first one. I feel like this was the first one. Because this is his first big movie, and I think that was a real one. I think that was like a happy
was
accident.
real, yeah.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's perfectly framed. Like when you see it, it's unbelievable. Yeah,
the luck. The
luck. So the next day, Quint and Hooper are trying to fix the boat, and the barrel pops up. They grab the barrel line, they tie it to a cleat in the stern. They're leaning over the boat. Brody fucks up and he ties it behind Hooper so that when the line goes taut again, we saw that in the trailer, it just mashes his legs against the boat. And guess what? This doesn't come into play at all. I don't know why this had to happen. It's just unpleasant. It has no effect on anything.
It's a stressful moment.
It's a stressful moment.
That's all we get. But it did stress me out.
So, oh, absolutely. You see it tightening and he's like, oh, Quint's like, "Hooper, no," or "Brody, no." So they get Hooper out. Quint manages to shoot another barrel into the shark. And the shark goes down under the water with 2 barrels, which is kind of a big deal. Like this, this should not be easy for this shark to do, but it goes all the way down. So they're like, "What the fuck?" And then the barrels pop up a little bit away, and they start moving out to sea. So they start chasing after him. They're kind of like, it's kind of like a light seafaring moment very briefly where they're kind of admiring the shark. Even Brody is smiling, like the music is very adventurous. But then unfortunately the boat is fucked up. It's spewing smoke. This is bad news. They get the barrel ropes again, tie them to the cleats. The ropes start moving, the barrels start moving. And now the shark is pulling the boat out to sea.
Oh no!
It tilts at one point. The scuba tanks almost fall over. Brody stops them. Remember, these tanks are a big deal.
They could explode.
They could explode. So
maybe they will.
The shark is so powerful. It is pulling the cleats off of the boat, and they're like, "We got to get the ropes off. It's going to tear out the whole back of the boat." Then it starts coming towards the boat. Quint fires a 3rd barrel into the shark. And now the shark with 3 barrels starts dragging the boat out to sea. Finally, it rips out the cleats that the ropes were tied to. All 3 barrels pop up. He goes under with 3 barrels. Then there's like a silence. They're like, he's ripped out the cleats. The boat is fucked up. They're just standing there looking out the sea. And then the 3 barrels pop up. This moment is seared into my brain forever as the commercial break for when it would air on network television when I was a kid.
That's amazing.
I always expect, whenever I watch it, I expect there to be a commercial.
You have like a Pavlovian response where you're like, I could use a drink. And you're like,
absolutely. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Snack time. So Quint says he can't go under with 3 barrels. Hooper's like, have you ever seen this one before? Well, no, of course you haven't.
This reminded me of in The Bachelor, anytime anyone is like, everything's going great and nothing could ruin this perfect evening. And it's just like a cue that it's about to be bad. When he's like, he can't go down with 3 barrels. No. With 3 barrels? No. And it's like, here we go. He's good. They're going to go down.
The boat gets knocked into. Quint now says, okay, we've still got him attached to these barrels. Even if he's not attached to us, I'm going to lead him out to shallow water and drown him in air, essentially. And he starts to drive out. The boat is really bad now. It is like belching smoke. It sounds bad. It's taking on so much water in the bottom. And Hooper's like, hey, slow down. Quint speeds up. He's like full Ahab at this point. He's singing his song. And then great. The boat just conks out. They are dead in the water. They are still miles from shore. Nobody knows where they are. They have no communication with the outside world. And Quint distributes life jackets to those 2 guys. He, of course, does not put one on himself. And he says, okay, Hooper, tell me about these gadgets that you got. Hooper says, well, I have this kind of dart gun. I could fill the tip with poison and shoot it at him. And Hooper's like, you can't get this needle through his skin. He's like, no, but if I get close enough, I could get it in his mouth or his eye. And they're like, well, how are you going to get close enough to do that? He's like, well, I'll go in the cage. Brody's like, you can't do it. Hooper says, do you have any better suggestions? Turns out no one does. So they build the cage. They put her in the water. Hooper gets in there. And before he goes in, this was a thing that my friend Buddy Fitzpatrick and I used to say to each other. He's another Jaws head.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Adult friend, Buddy Fitzpatrick. He's a comedian as well. And so when we would have big shows, we would say to each other what Hooper says in this moment, because he's going to spit in his mask to clear it. And he goes, I got no spit.
I got no spit.
And that became like shorthand for us for nervousness.
It's perfect.
That's great.
So he gets in the tank. He's underwater. He's looking around. He sees the shark pass by him, and then it just keeps going. And it's like it came up from behind him, so he didn't see it. He couldn't get a shot. So he sees it go into the water until you can't see it anymore.
Something disappearing in water is so scary.
Because it's so real. It's like real life magic where it just fades into nothing, into the blue, you know? So Hooper like cautiously takes the stopper off of the poison needle. And he's like, where is the shark? It comes from behind again, rams the cage, like puts a dent in the bars, like splits the bars open a little bit. Then it just keeps ramming the cage. The opening is getting wider and wider. Hooper is freaking out. It is terrifying. Then Hooper manages to get kind of above as the shark is still going at the cage. Hooper swims out of the cage and swims like down to hide. Then we cut to real footage of a great white attacking one of these cages. And it's fucking terrifying because he's like kind of caught in the chain that's
above it,
supporting it. And he's like thrashing and going nuts. And he's tearing this cage apart. So Hooper swims away, hides like under some coral.
Oh my God.
And the gun, of course, is gone. There's no way he can get it back. The shark thrashing above the water now is ripping out parts of the boat. Whatever that pole is called. I don't know what that's called, but it's important. And it rips it down. The boat is even more fucked up now. They get the cage up and it's bent to shit. And they're like, I guess that guy is dead.
Oh, no.
The shark comes back and he like that. Now the boat is like sinking, like stern first. The stern is fully in the water. The shark like comes up onto the transom of the stern, and it knocks Quint down. Quint's trying to grab hold of something. He can't. Hooper can't hold his hand. So he's sliding down towards the mouth of the shark.
Oh,
and he's like kicking against the mouth, like trying to keep from going inside. But hey, man, it happens. He is now.
There's only so much you can do.
He is now in that. He's screaming and he's like, he he's in the shark now up to his waist. The shark like bites down. He screams. The shark is like shaking him back and forth. Bites down again. Screams with blood like gurgling out of his mouth.
Oh no!
Then the shark like backs up, pulls the lifeless body of Quint under the water. Now Brody is alone, and he's like, "What the fuck am I gonna do now?" Like this boat is sinking. Sure. He grabs a rifle. He's like, he's in the sort of cabin of the boat. The shark comes through, breaks through the window, and Brody's like, fuck.
Very scary.
He doesn't know what to do. He grabs one of the tanks and he's like hitting it with the scuba tank, and then he like fucking shoves it in his mouth, and the shark backs up. Brody scrambles out. He gets into the crow's nest, which is like practically horizontal with the water, and he's got the rifle. And he's just looking. Okay, now he sees the shark coming towards him from a distance, and he's like, okay, show me that tank. And he's shooting with the rifle at the shark, and he's missing. The music is going crazy, and then finally he like really takes aim, and he says, "Smile, you son of a bitch," and he hits that tank. The shark blows up.
Oh my God.
We see on the surface of the water this huge explosion. Then the hulk of the shark underwater, beautifully trailing down to the ocean's bottom in a cloud of blood and gore, while beautiful harp music is playing. It needs to be said, like, not only is the theme of this movie iconic, the score to this movie is perfect. It's so good. And like, again, I notice different things in it every time I see it. All respect to John Williams for this score. It's tremendous. So the shark is dead. Brody is cheering. Eventually, Hooper comes back up, swims over to Brody. Brody is so relieved that he's alive. They laugh for a little bit about just like, this is insane. Hooper goes, "Quint," and Brody goes, "No." Then we cut to, he says, so I guess we got to swim back to shore. And Brody looks off camera and says, "Do you think those will hold us?" And we cut to, they have made some sort of like makeshift raft, like out of a bar and two of the barrels, and they're paddling. They're holding onto the bar and like paddling back to shore. Great moment as they're going. How long is it going to take us to get there? A few hours. Brody says, "I used to hate the water," and Hooper says, "I can't imagine why." As the credits roll, we see the credits roll over the beach as the waves are coming in. By the time the credits are ended, we see them make it to the shore.
Oh, wow.
The end.
That's a great way to end it. Wow. That's a great way to end it.
It's a great ending.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And that's
those scuba tanks.
Those scuba tanks. Don't count them out. They're important.
Yeah, I love that it's like climax of the movie. Okay, movie's over.
Right? Yes. The shark didn't come back to life after being exploded. The movie is done.
What else are you here to see? It's a shark movie.
Wasn't two sharks working together?
Or a little baby shark coming, like watching their mother be killed or something like that.
I'll remember this.
Isn't that the plot of a future
Which was kind of the plot.
Jaws?
Yes, it is.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
Is it?
There's definitely sequels.
Yes.
I've never seen any of the sequels, but
they're not good. I've seen the second one. I saw the second one in theaters, and it was just like one of those earliest like movie disappointments as a kid where you first realize like, oh, movies can be bad.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to like this, but I didn't quite like it. And why is that? And then you feel like you're not allowed to say the movie was bad. I've seen a lot of the third one, which was released in 3D. I've never seen the fourth one, but I'd like to because it's the most absurd of all of them. It's like this shark is part of the family of
Bruce's family.
of the original shark's family and remembers the Brody family. And so
no, we know that's not true. They can't even remember what not to eat.
This is what I'm saying.
They're not crows.
They're not crows.
They are not crows. Who are the crows of the sea?
I don't want to meet them. Maybe dolphins, maybe orcas.
I don't want to meet them.
I don't want to meet them.
Do you not like crows?
No, I like crows a lot, actually, but I don't want to get on a crow's bad side, and I definitely don't want to get on the sea version of crow's bad side.
For sure.
I think orcas are very scary, even though they don't attack humans at the rate that sharks do, but orcas can kill great white sharks. And their boat is called the Orca. Their vessel.
That's right.
That they use.
That's right.
Orcas are scary, man.
Wow. Okay. Also, can I just say, I don't know if this is because of how much you know and love Jaws or just another thing, but the casualness with which you use boat terminology was blowing me away.
Our vessel heads are gonna be pleased.
I was astounded at terms I'd never heard before. I didn't know what they were, but you clearly do. And I was like, okay.
I looked up crow's nest, and because I was like, he might need it, but he didn't need it. He had it at the ready.
I don't remember even all of them, but I was like, he knows boats.
I will tell you that having just watched the movie, giving me a refresher on bow and stern was very key to my being able to tell the story.
It seemed natural, like you've known it your whole life.
No, I'll forget them by tonight.
Okay, fair. It was great.
Guys, thank you for letting me tell that story. That was really fun.
That was so fucking good. I honestly didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect. And it was more like heartfelt than I was expecting, honestly. Like,
well,
it was
it's a Spielberg, you know?
Yeah.
It is a Spielberg. And it felt more like a drama in a way than anything else.
Drama.
Yeah.
It's a very grown up movie. You know what I mean? It's like, it's really smart. And I think even if for the scary parts, absolutely, you got to watch it. I think you will enjoy it. And I think the scariness will be just enough. It will not overtake your experience of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's PG. I need to fucking get my shit together if I can't watch. I know that.
Are you too scared to watch Gremlins? It's PG-13.
Probably.
Exactly. Honestly, maybe.
And another reason to watch, just to throw in here, I gotta mention that Chief Brody is a hot dad. We like to call out a hot dad as well.
Very hot dad.
He's very hot in this, and he's so good. Roy Scheider is so good in this movie.
He's so great.
There's so many little things and it's not showy. It's not, I don't know. It's that when 70s movies were still doing very naturalistic kind of acting and overlapping dialogue and stuff like that just felt really real. And he is just fucking great.
He's great.
He's great.
And hot.
Hell yeah.
And hot.
And hot.
Wow. I feel like with the exception of the cage scene, I can do it. I think I will just know that, like, when he goes down in that cage, especially for the real footage part, I can't believe that anyone fucking does that. Why does anyone do that?
Ron and Valerie Jarrett. Are you kidding me? The two famous people from the shark documentaries of my youth. Here's what will help you in the cage scene is that the shark is very obviously fake.
Okay, great.
It is clearly just a giant puppet that is being
just like
pushed forward.
And I think at that point, some of its like teeth are kind of flopping out a bit. There's like some shots that the teeth are a little loose. Like you can tell that they're
it's being rammed into a metal bar.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay. Good to know. Wow. That was great. What a journey.
Is there a voice? We usually end it with a voice.
It's true.
The most distinctive voice is Quint, I would say, in this movie.
Okay. All right.
Shark like that, swallow you whole.
Shark like that.
Before we say goodbye, though, Paul, is there anything you want to say? Do you want to plug for our listeners? I know you've got a bunch of podcasts.
I have too many podcasts. I am on a podcast called Freedom with Scott Aukerman and Lauren Lapkus. It's just the three of us having conversations and being stupid. I have a podcast with my wife called Stay F Tompkins, where we do it once a month, and it's just us having a couple of drinks on a Friday night and just talking after dinner. And I also would like to plug, I've started doing live shows again. I have a variety show that I do called Varietopia, which is at Lodge Room in Highland Park, which is such a great venue.
Ooh, cool.
The next one is Sunday, March 6th. Tickets are online at paulftompkins.com/live. And if you cannot see it in person, we record the shows and put them up online. So right now on Vimeo, I have, I believe, 6 shows up that you can buy. They're available for purchase. On Vimeo, that is bit.ly/PFT-VOD.
Whew.
Yeah, but just go to paulftompkins.com/live and the link will be there as well.
Amazing.
Oh, live shows. Wow.
Man, I missed it so much. And then it had to go away again for a couple months. And then, so we'll see.
Man, I think at this point, we're living with some version of bad stuff just hanging around. So
100%.
How do we do it, you know?
That's right. Life is scarier than any movie. We've said it before. We'll say it again.
It's scary. It's filled with men. It's very scary stuff happening in this world.
Just like today's movie.
Unavoidable.
Yep.
It's jam-packed with them.
It was the 70s. A lot of men.
Absolutely. This is before women were invented.
We weren't doing that yet. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Paul.
This was a treat.
Thank you so much.
It was absolutely my pleasure.
Fun.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, Sammy, you got this voice?
I'll try.
What does he say?
What does he say? From all of us here at Too Scary to Watch. I can't tell if Paul is impressed or horrified.
I'm not horrified.
Not impressed, but
somewhere in the middle. A big reaction in the middle. From all of us here at Too Scary to Watch.
Didn't watch.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Farewell to fair Spanish ladies.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Too Scary Didn't Watch. If you like the show, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can follow us on social media at TSDW Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. And if one episode a week just is not enough for you, head on over to patreon.com/TSDW Podcast to become a patron and receive all sorts of extra goodies from us, including bonus episodes, trailer reactions, and more. And no matter what, we will see you right here next week for another episode. We love you so much. Bye.